call to order the meeting of the Clarkson Independence District Library, May 3rd, 2016 at 5:45 p.m. Will rise, please, for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Let's have roll call.
Dan Gaffney. Here. Michelle Ginn. Here. Dan Green.
Here.
Mary Hamburg. Here. Sally Lamb. Here. Allison Van Keeson absent. Marilyn Pomeroy.
Here.
Julie Meredith.
Okay, I'll accept a motion for approval of the agenda.
So moved.
Okay. Who beat the buzzer there?
Give it to Dan.
That was about 1,000th of a
I
second.
know, we were right on that. And I'll second.
Dan
Yeah.
moves and Jan seconds. Any questions about the agenda? If not, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Nay. Motion passes. Call to the public. Do we have any public tonight? They're on the agenda, so all right. Short call to the public, that is now closed. Okay, the consent agenda. I'll accept a move for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 items on the consent agenda.
I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Is there a second?
Second. Michelle.
Yeah, she beat Sally by a hair.
Sorry. It's a big race here tonight.
It's been moved and seconded that we accept the consent agenda. Anyone to remove any particular item? If not, those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right. Let's have a look at library statistics.
Well, the statistics you have in your packet are actually the April statistics, since this is a meeting that got rescheduled. So I'm not going to dwell on them much. We'll put them into the packet. And at the May 9th meeting, we'll go over the most recent statistics. Similarly with the director's report, I'll go over some of the things, but some of these items were April, so we'll put it into the minutes. But just as an extra piece of information, we did celebrate National Library Week from April 10th to April 16th. Clarkson Area Youth Assistance did their Pinwheels for Prevention, which was an awareness program for child abuse. And so we had 20 pinwheels out in our garden. So that was for the month of April, and those have already been taken down since we're in May. A new service, the library is offering a new service called Gale Courses. This online educational program offers a wide range of highly interactive instructor-led courses that are taken entirely online. Offerings range from computer topics to drawing basics, writing skills, business, and finance. Patrons who have been issued a CIDL, a Clarkson Independence District Library card, are entitled to use these courses at no cost. Courses run for 6 weeks and new sessions begin every month. Each class includes a final exam, and a certificate of completion is provided if the student passes the exam. The service is available on the front page of the library's website and under online resources. And you just go to www.indylive.org to get to those services. Okay. Project updates. Thanks to a grant provided by the Michigan Collaborative for Library Services, the library will be using the Harwood Institute's Community Conversations technique as part of our strategic planning process. We have 4 employees trained to conduct these conversations. In the next 2 weeks, which we have now done, we did 4 conversation sessions with staff and the board to practice the techniques and get internal input. And next we will be opening these conversations to the public. In January, the board provided a documents on demand, approved of a documents on demand project. In March, the IT coordinator and his assistant went through the basic training using the documents on demand, and they learned the structure of the site, how they created, and they are currently uploading all those back documents. So that should be ready soon. I feel a little discombobulated since this is all from a few weeks ago. The library staff have been preparing for the implementation of the new service auto renew, which we did implement over the weekend. Included with the director's report is the service implementation plan reviewed by the library board last month, the explanation of this service, and a frequently asked questions page. And it did, as I go live over the weekend. And we've already gotten lots of positive reviews on it. It essentially means that any item that is able to be renewed will renew, and it helps prevent fines.
I loved the commercial. That just really tickled me. That was really
They
well
were
done.
very hard on it. The staff did do a commercial. It's on the front page of the website, so done in sort of a
Yeah,
an old newsreel style.
yeah, it was really cute.
Yeah, they had a good time doing that. So.
And I got an email on Sunday that my book
I did
was
too.
due on Monday had been renewed.
I did too, because
So I knew it was working.
I know, my sister wanted one, and there was a hold on it. She was so disappointed. She said, oh, I have to go home and read it right now. It's due Thursday. He's reading rapidly.
And in terms of collaborations, the Planned Giving Roundtable of Southeast Michigan is a nonprofit organization serving the networking and educational needs of professionals who assist individuals in financial planning and development directors who need to understand planned giving mechanism used by donors. Many people support charities throughout life, but don't give to charitable bequests because they weren't asked or don't know how. So PGRT has developed Leave a Legacy, a public awareness campaign designed to educate the public and promote the message that people from all walks of life can make a difference in the lives that follow. They also have a speakers bureau of financial planners and estate attorneys who sign a code of ethics and make themselves available to provide non-commercial presentations to educate people about planned giving. The library is partnering with PGRT to offer a presentation on Thursday, May 5th at 6:30 p.m. for the leaders of local nonprofit organizations that may be interested in learning more about accepting charitable bequests in support of their causes. And we are currently reaching out to the leaders of those organizations to invite them to this educational opportunity.
Excellent. Any questions, comments? All right. Let's move to regular business. Number 1 is a review of the garden plan project.
At the March Library Board meeting, the Clarkson Farm and Garden Club submitted a project plan for the area where the overgrown bushes were removed from the southeast wall of the library. The board discussed the plan and requested some additional information. Michelle again met with Pat Chase, the Garden Club's coordinator of the library's flower beds, and representatives from Roots to Fruits, the landscaper that developed the project plan. At tonight's meeting, a representative from Roots to Fruits will review an updated plan with the library board and answer any questions. So I'm going to put it up on the screen so everybody can see it. And it is in your packet, so you've got that already. And there's actually two views. I'm not sure which view you prefer. Does it matter to you which view I leave on the screen?
That's a good view.
Is that a good view? Okay, I'm going to leave it to you then.
So I guess I can just kind of give a little bit of an overview of kind of the idea with this planting scheme and sort of how it came about. And I guess to preface a little bit, our company, Roots to Fruits, we do primarily edible landscaping where we help people develop food gardens. We call it edible and ecological landscaping. So, you know, doing things in an ecologically mindful way is one of our main goals. So this design here is kind of a combination of somewhat edible plantings and more so just a solid kind of perennial planting that's primarily native plants. So things that are going to be really adapted to the area, things that do flower throughout the season, different flowering times. There are some fruits integrated into this. So there's blueberries in that back bed that's sort of against the wall. And that's one of the main, I guess, edible ornamental plants that we use a lot in our landscape designs because it has really good fall color. The original plan, we had the espalier apples against the wall. We've taken that out. So on the revised edition here, we didn't actually take the time to graphically change it, but we just put no espalier apples. So you can imagine, you know, just the regular wall. And this is all perennial stuff, so things will be planted once and live for many, many years. The serviceberry, which is the tree you see sort of on the corner of that bed, kind of as a focal point, that is a native fruiting tree, but it's also a really common landscaping tree that you guys have probably all seen. Really common in like grocery store parking lots and outside all sorts of storefronts. It's a tree that has really nice white flowers in the spring and also really good bright red foliage in the fall. So really, I mean, there's a lot. I could explain every little detail of this. I don't know if people maybe want to ask questions. The idea with this is that it could be educational, so it could be an educational resource for the community. It could be a place where kids can learn about how some of these plants grow and also kind of learn about their edible and useful value. That's kind of one of our main missions with our work, is teaching people about these plants and how they can be used. So it is kind of a combination of both an ornamental landscape but also kind of a utilitarian landscape where people could potentially harvest some blueberries if they want to. If left unharvested, it's very likely that birds will eat the blueberries. So, these are things that could either be harvested or not. The flowering plants are definitely going to attract things like butterflies and different native pollinators and things like that, which is regular with any perennial flowering plant typically. So, yeah, these are all plants that we've been doing this for about 6 or 7 years, and these are all things that are really tried and true. So this is a combination of a lot of systems that we've already worked with, so it's not really experimental necessarily. Yeah, we think it would be a really cool addition to the library here, not only as a visually pleasing landscape, but also as, like I said, a potential to educate people about how food grows and just the value of these systems. So are there any overarching questions or things that people don't get about it, or comments?
I just want to make one comment. I had the pleasure of meeting with Trevor, Mark, and Pat to discuss this and to kind of tweak the plan a little bit to get the fermenting apples away from the building. That's one of the biggest things. And I think the plan that you come forward with met, all the requirements of what we said. So I'm pleased with the plan. Everybody else can be too.
So you still have the grape, bush cherries, and blueberries, is that correct?
The blueberries are still on there.
I'm sorry, I can't read the screen.
Yeah, if you want, the other view, maybe we could switch. Can we switch to the other view?
We've got a...
Oh, you've got prints.
We've got
Yeah,
it.
so the bush cherry we did change to the native hazelnut, which is a shrub that does produce an actual nut. But again, that's something that if not harvested, the wildlife will typically harvest it. But we would encourage harvesting of all these things. But it's not going to be messy. It's not going to drop any fruit or anything like that. The Oregon grape, that's less of a food plant. It's more of an ornamental. It's a type of holly. Sometimes the names can be kind of, it does produce a fruit, but it's very, very inconspicuous, and it is edible, but it's not really like a major food or anything like that. It's more of just an ornamental plant. So yeah, the main fruits that would still be in this planting are the blueberries, and then the service berry, which, like I said, that's a really, really common ornamental tree that's all around the area.
What is the service berry? What is that?
The service berry, it's a small tree that it's on the corner of that little part that jets out.
Yeah.
Yeah, but what's the berry? What?
The berry is a purplish kind of, it almost looks like a blueberry. Typically, the service berries, like in a lot of landscapes around the area, the berries are usually gone pretty quick because a lot of native birds like to eat them. So.
Okay, I'd like to speak. I used to be head of grounds here, and I can tell you that this library has already had a service berry tree. It was out front, and it was in that kidney-shaped bed that was out there, and there were things that died because the water laid in there, if you'll remember. And so we had a problem with that and had to address that at that time. Serviceberry is one of those things that died. and I had a serviceberry by my deck at the house I just sold. So they're an attractive tree, and the library has had that before, I just want to say that.
But in the back. Or
Yes.
or front.
Yes.
Okay.
One other
Not
point.
near the entrance.
One other point too to make is that the entire front landscape here, there's a lot of ornamental crabapple trees that are planted all around. And those produce a lot of fruit annually, little small fruit, again, kind of inconspicuous, you don't really notice it. So like the serviceberry, for instance, it's almost like an analog to something like that. And a lot of the trees that are used in ornamental landscaping, people don't realize this, things like Bradford pears. If you look in downtown Clarkston, those are planted all along the sidewalks. Those also produce a small, kind of inconspicuous fruit. So just because it's a fruiting plant doesn't necessarily mean that it's gonna like make a mess or isn't visually appealing. And like I said, a lot of the really common landscape plants are fruit trees like ornamental crab apples and weeping cherries and ornamental mulberries and things like that. So there's already a lot of fruit growing right here. And even like walking out here the other day, on the crab apples, you'll oftentimes see they hang through the entire winter and they'll still be kind of shriveled up on the tree. So it's not really introducing a whole lot of what isn't already within this kind of zone. It is, pretty radically different to what was here before, but another point too, like, was there yew in the bed out here before? Was that one of the?
There was the view.
Yeah, so yew is a great example of a tree that produces a little red fruit that's actually highly toxic. So if somebody were to eat a yewberry, it's incredibly toxic to your digestive system. So that's like, something that people grow often as ornamental. It does make a fruit. It's not edible, but just to point that out. So don't plant yew if you're considering other approaches.
Okay, thank you for clarifying that. We just had a couple concerns at the earlier meeting about drunken bees. So we wanted to make sure that the fruit that might fall was far enough away from the door that we wouldn't have a concern with people who were, who had a problem with
Certainly.
bee stings. Yes, ma'am.
Plus also, I don't know if you noted in his plan, they have suggested that they would put up signage throughout this, talking about the different plants and the uses, so it would be
Excellent.
educational in that way as well. Plus, if people want, they're more than welcome to harvest as they are with our vegetable garden. We've always told the library and our club members, you need something, pick it and take it.
Okay.
And if anybody wants to look at like an example of something like this, right in downtown Clarkston at KH Homes, we did an installation there maybe 5 or 6 years ago with some of the plants in this design and also some other plants, but that's a pretty well established example of something like this that's been in the ground and it's been successful. A lot of people harvest from that landscape as well. People that are passing by, we've been there managing it, and we've talked to folks and sort of told them about some of the plants, and there's a sign there as well, so you can feel free to go there and read about that and check that out as well.
Okay, do we have any more questions?
Pat, just when he said managing it, would we be using that service?
Well, I had talked to them before, especially when we thought we might have the apples, because those would take a lot more maintenance. It's definitely in the library budget I have, but they would be willing to, if it was more than we could handle, we could definitely work with them and have them maintain it, and it would be in our budget
Well,
to
that's
do
what I'm
that.
thinking, and even for a while, until.
Yeah, I had talked to both of
understand.
them, and they said, yeah, they'd be, and like I said, with the budget I have yearly, then that money would be
Provides.
there to do it, yeah.
Thanks.
Okay, excellent questions. Anything else?
Well, I know I'm certainly probably a minority of one, but I still prefer something like a butterfly. I still don't like the idea of the fruit. But by what I'm feeling
Yeah,
here,
well-
I think that
I liked the idea of the butterfly garden too, and that is what we had talked about, but none of these are gonna be messy. We're not gonna have fruit dropping on the ground and,
No, there's no large fruit. I mean, the blueberries and the service berries are really the only things, and they're, the size of a blueberry. And like I said, it's not like something where there's like all these blueberries on the ground rotting.
Unless you
typically.
pick them quick, the birds are gonna get them.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, because I know that that's been an issue with the vegetable garden is the stuff doesn't all get picked.
That
Yeah.
has been, I've told our club anytime, and I've also told Julie to tell the library, anyone is welcome. That's always been the.
Yeah, but see, people have this mentality that they shouldn't be picking from someone else's
Well,
garden.
the other idea was not to pick it all either because it was educational for the kids. If it's all gone, they're never gonna learn how
Right.
vegetables grow.
Right.
Especially the pumpkin.
Right, so that, so one of the things that we were concerned about was having fruit that didn't get harvested because people looked at it and said it wasn't that pretty, but didn't pick it. The library staff does not have time to
Mhm.
maintain the garden. I mean, and they know if they want a tomato, they can run out and get a tomato, and I think that they probably do more than anybody else, but, that was one of the big concerns was having food that's not being harvested and that it would create a mess. And that was a huge concern with the apples and the pears because those
And both
little
of those
ferment
are
I've been around when
Are
those
not on
dropped.
this plan.
Actually, we would like to thank the Garden Club and Vicki for meeting to discuss these concerns ahead of time. That's always our preferred way of doing things, and see if we could come to a consensus.
And I'm encouraged that now that it's made known more that the vegetables are for picking, that they will be picked more this summer. I think more people are aware of it now, and will be after a meeting also because it'll be in the minutes. So I'm encouraged that that's going to happen. And with the berries, I think it will too. What is there that the birds don't eat right away?
Yeah, this design now, after the apples and pears have been removed, the service berry and the blueberry, those are like we kind of, to reiterate, I guess, those two fruits, it's, a lot of times it's hard to actually get your blueberries because the birds get them so quick. So it's not going to be like, oh, there's all this fruit right here. It might, maybe you walk by and you see some ripe blueberries and somebody picks them, but it's definitely not like going to be a very, visual attraction, like here's all this fruit rotting away, or
No
attracting
blueberries
bees,
staying
or
sidewalks, because everybody will be eating them before. Okay.
Well, if the birds eat them, you'll get some blueberry sticks.
That's true. They'll just be in other places.
They don't always go very far.
I will accept a motion.
I move that we accept the plan as presented this evening, the revised plan for the edible landscape proposal for the library.
Is there a second? Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we accept the revised plan. Any other questions or comments? Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Dennis abstained.
Oh, okay. The motion has passed. We thank everyone for their time and effort. We look forward to the educational opportunities that I might even steal a blueberry or two. Okay. Thank you very much for coming in and working with us on this project.
And thank you for rescheduling.
Glad everyone's feeling better.
Yes.
thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Okay, now, Ms. Melissa, we're going to review your request for the PR committee budget.
So let me just read the little description quickly first. The library's business and marketing librarian has formed a PR committee to work on projects that promote the library and its services throughout the community. They were still developing their plans when the 2016 budget was developed and were not assigned funds for their work. The business and marketing librarian and the library director have discussed the need for the creation of a budget line item for this committee's work. The business and marketing librarian will present a request for a designated budget to accommodate the PR committee's plan for the remainder of 2016. So you're on, Melissa.
Okay, I created a little spreadsheet here. I think everybody has it in the packet. And as you can see, the estimated, or the subtotal really, is $1,808. And that includes some events that we have going on for Library Card Sign-Up Month. We're participating in the food truck rally, some bookmarks, just things that we use, mostly promotional items that we use for when we're out and about in the community. And so I don't know if anybody has any questions, if anybody would say
I'm excited for the PR committee.
Yeah, I am too.
I
I
think
think this is something we
Yes.
really need.
I think it eases the strain on a lot of people, bookmarks, the parking lot updates and things like
Yes,
that.
yep. Hootsuite is part of that. It's our yearly subscription, which is what we use to update our social media. We use all the Instagram and Facebook and Constant Contact. Those all integrate into one subscription. So we're able to get all the social media in one platform.
Really good.
Okay, any other questions, comments?
I would move that we approve that budget as presented.
Second?
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we approve the PR budget as presented. Any comment, questions? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Thank you very much for coming in.
Thank you.
We look forward to this.
And if you guys have any questions ever, please feel free. Always, as always. Thank you, Melissa.
Now, did we approve the transfer?
Well, you approved the budget. I think you
As
should,
pres-
yeah.
Maybe we should make a separate motion on the transfer of the $1,808.
I missed that piece.
Under
I'll make
the,
that motion too.
under the source of budget considerations, the requested funds could be taken from undesignated revenue and put into a new line item, which would be 818.760 PR campaigns and promotions.
Okay, is there a second for that
Consider that
motion?
made.
Second. That's
Okay, so
I'm confused.
all right.
Clarify it all.
We approved the PR campaign.
Right.
But we're just making it clear that we're going to transfer funds from the undesignated area into a new line item, 818.760 PR campaigns and promotions.
Okay, thank you.
Is that correct? You got it right?
Julie, is this a newly created line item?
It is, yep, it will be a newly created line, and that helps us to track that budget so that she doesn't, when we do the quarterly reports with the accountant, she'll
I
see.
just want to be sure what I'm seconding.
Yep, absolutely, absolutely.
We just thought this would make it a little more clear. Okay, all those in favor of this transfer, please say aye.
Aye.
Nays? Okay, yes, ma'am.
Who made the motion?
I did.
Jan.
Okay, Jan
And Dan.
Thank you.
Go with our first.
They, in both cases, they made
Okay,
both motions
gotcha. I'm
related
sorry.
to this request. You're fine, yeah. Just kind of separated that a little bit. All right, the next item on the agenda is the columns at the entrance of the library.
Okay, so that, the bid for the columns are in the second little packet that you got, the things that had your library director's report and
It says Allied.
it says allied and it says column code at the top, handwritten on. It would be in with your, with the piles of statistics and all of that.
Yeah, we have a lot of paper tonight. so
Sorry.
That's all right.
Gonna get worse before it gets better. Everybody find it?
Yeah.
Okay, very good. So they've actually given us two different proposals. Option one would be, well, let me show you a picture first so it'll be clearer.
We'll move from garden to
We'll move
pillars.
from garden to pillars, yes. It's all out front.
All pretty stuff.
From pillar to post is my.
Okay, so these are the two columns that are at the entrance, and I have some pictures of what they currently look like. They are crumbling at the base. And essentially what these are is what's inside. These are not structural at all. There is a steel beam in the middle that is structural, and it is completely sound. There is nothing wrong with that archway. What is crumbling is the fiberglass wrap and the limestone base at the bottom. And just so that you have a feel for what we're talking about, you can actually see in this picture, I didn't bring my laser pointer, but you can see in this picture, this is the split where the fiberglass meets. It's two half pieces that come together, and you can see this is where the fiberglass is crumbling. The steel beam up the middle is perfectly sound, so this is not a real expensive project, but you do have two options. Option one would be to remove the existing fiberglass wrap and base from the two columns, prep the area, form and cast the concrete base, foam wrap the columns in paint, and then reinstall. There's a handicap switch on one of the columns that's not pictured. That would be, so that was essentially a replacement. And it would be $4,650. Option two would be to remove the damaged base form and cast a concrete base, and resurface and paint the columns. So in other words, they would do a fiberglass repair on what's here. So option 2 is $2,580. Option 1 is $4,650. So option 1 would be to replace, option 2 would be to repair.
Do they need permits for option 1?
You know, I'm going,
It's
I would have
really-
to check into that. It's decorative. I would think that we would be able to make it part of the parking lot permit included in that. The parking lot is going to include all of that concrete work. Yeah, so this will be the last thing that they do. But I think it could be included in that permit as part of that project. It'd be a different group working on it, but it'd be like a subcontract.
Did they give any indication, obviously replacing it is going to last longer than a repair, but did they give any indication how much longer that might be?
He didn't really. He said it was really just kind of up to you whether you felt that it is crumbling pretty significantly.
Yeah.
It's
So
in bad
they
shape,
would just,
really bad shape.
they would just put that foam or whatever over the parts that are crumbling. And the other one would be taken off.
They would take that whole, they would take the entire wrap off and put in a brand new one.
Now, that one's been in since 1992.
Oh yes, these are original to the building. They've never been repaired. So they've lasted, well, I'm not going to say they've lasted 23 years because they've looked like this for a while. So, but I will say, we budgeted for this whole parking lot project $150,000. The parking lot has come in, the asphalt work and the concrete work has come in at $115,000. The lighting project, which we'll talk about shortly, the high bid on the lighting project is $28,000, and the high bid on this is $4,600. So even if you were to take the high bids, we would still be under budget on this.
The second bid just seems more like a temporary fix.
That's what I
And like
Yeah.
money just, it's gonna be respent
Yeah.
much sooner.
And it's really only a couple thousand more to get
To
a
have them
replacement,
basically
which I believe will
rebuilt.
last much longer.
Well, we're replacing all of the sidewalks and everything else, so after 23 years, that potentially is, it would still be under budget if you wanted to do
And
replacement.
this will come out of that budget?
It will, yeah, we will, it's in the building budget to do this whole project, and I've included this as part of that project.
Okay.
I'm afraid that doing the second one, just temporarily repairing is kind of like putting a Band-Aid on an owie and then later on.
We've been doing a lot of Band-Aids over the last few
Yeah.
years.
Yes, that's right.
Which is how things get to this state, and now we don't have to. I mean, it's,
Right.
if the money is available,
If we
thanks
were-
to the nice bid on the asphalt
Yeah,
concrete
it
work.
came in a really good price, yeah. If we were talking about a difference of $10,000, I think
Right.
the choice would be probably harder to make.
Yes, but I think for only, $2,000 more, that it's worth it to get the replacement, which will,
Get a better repair, that's what we're looking for,
Yeah.
better repair.
yeah.
We got 20, well, I don't think we got 23 years. We got almost 20 years out of her.
Right, and so,
About it.
and I think that if you just patch it, then you're maybe if you're lucky, get 10 more years. If we replace the whole thing, then we're likely to get another 20 or better, so.
Well, also, if we're going to do this, we might as well be doing it at the time we're doing everything else and not have to do it later again as a patch in
We
that
certainly
area.
have more projects coming up next year, so I don't know that we want to revisit this one in a few
Right.
years.
Exactly. I mean, we
No,
got
it would be
the
nice to
down.
get all that stuff done where it's gonna last for years and then be able to look at some more, more fun stuff.
Okay, I will accept a motion.
I move that we accept option 1 to basically rebuild the columns. Option 1 of the allied proposal for the columns.
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that the board accept option 1 for, what was that, 4650, for 4650 to replace the current wrap around the object. Any comments or questions? If not, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. And now let's move on to the parking lot lighting issues of the current project.
Those quotes are also the last little piece that was in with your library director's report, and there's 2 bids, and there is a small spreadsheet as well. This one's going to be another one. I think you're going to have to just talk this one out. The first proposal is from Joe Pizik Electric in Troy. And the second is from Allied Building Services, which is the people doing the columns, and they are a facilities company. The quoted price, Joe Pizik, is $27,411.25. Allied Building is $28,775. So we're talking a difference of about $1,300, $1,400. In the notes of that spreadsheet, I did point out there are a couple of small differences. They are both bidding on the exact same work project. We had a designer come in and tell us, to kind of show us what we wanted to do. The board decided what that project was going to be. So the difference that we're seeing here is the Joe Pizik Electric does not include the permits, and Allied Building says it does provide the electrical permits and the inspections. So I think they're almost identical.
I would think the permits would be important.
The permits would be important, yeah, but the permits would be left to me, essentially. So there's one piece that's a difference. The other difference is that Allied did make, and I can't say that Joe Pizik wouldn't, but Allied did make a point of putting right in their quote that they will work with our asphalt and concrete contractors throughout the project to make sure that the timing is. And that is a little bit of a worrisome piece, because this is an outside contractor coming in that's not being managed by our engineer, which means I get to manage that one. So I have to admit, I am a little bit heartened by the fact that they intend to work very closely with the contractor. So. But other than that, they're essentially equal.
Well, and Allied is already here doing work for us, so if there were any problems, then they're handy to correct any problems.
They have been very hands-on throughout this project. They actually sat down with the designer and made sure that they fully understood what he had defined as the project. And so I think it's a good, solid bid. I don't think we're going to have any surprises in terms of price. I don't think they would come back after and say, oops, we missed this little piece and we're going to charge you extra or anything. I made sure that the engineer wanted me to make sure that both contractors knew that that there is utility that runs through that area, and also made sure that they understood that a portion of the project might involve hand digging because of the utilities that run through that area. So they are both fully aware of that as well. So they shouldn't, neither one should be able to come back and say, oh, we didn't know about that, and we're going to charge you more for that. So.
And both are excellent companies, so that's good too.
Both came highly recommended, so I don't even have any help there. So I really don't.
My personal feeling is if one company is pulling the permits and is checking with Miss Dig, that would throw my vote in that direction.
Well, and I'm not sure what the cost of the permits is, but I imagine that would eat up part of the difference anyways. No. Because even if we had to get the permit, it still is part of this project, so the cost is going to be the same. Like, I don't know how much electrical permits are these days, but I'm kind of inclined. We're already working with Allied on other things. They're going to be doing the columns, and I don't see that it's a substantial enough price difference to go with the low bid when it's kind of more convenient to.
And they're offering more.
Yeah.
It's not as convenient, they're offering more. we're offering permits.
In coordination.
So if we're ready, I would make a motion that we approve the bid from Allied Building Services to do the electrical work for $28,775.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we go with the Allied bid for the electrical lighting updates. Any other comments or questions? If not, all those in favor of the Allied bid, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say nay. The motion is carried. Now, the last item on the agenda tonight is a review of the agreement regarding the retiree health care funding. This discussion has been going on for a long time, so let us get to it.
The library and the township have been discussing an agreement regarding a trust fund intended for the retiree health care of library employees held by the township in the library's name. The attached agreement has been negotiated by the attorneys of the library and the township. The township reviewed the agreement at their April 5th meeting with the following vote. Treasurer Brown moved to approve the agreement regarding retiree health care funding between the Charter Township of Independence and the Clarkson Independence District Library. Direct the finance director to proceed with the transfer of the funds from the Michigan Employees Retirement System to the Clarkson Independence District Library, and direct the supervisor and clerk to sign the agreement as the authorized representatives of the township, subject to the approval and execution of the agreement by the Clarkson Independence District Library Board, and subject to resolving the outstanding negative cash issue. Seconded by trustee Aliaga. The roll call vote, yes, Kittle, Brown, Aliaga, and Ritchie. No was none, absent Lohmeyer and Schroeder, abstained Palata. So the motion carried 4-0. The library's accountant, director, auditor, and treasurer have been reviewing the issue of negative cash referenced in the above motion. The township was the library's fiscal agent from the time the district library was established on August 1st of 2012 until June 30th of 2013, when the library hired a new fiscal agent. During that time, the township was responsible for documenting all of the library's finances and completing the separation of the two entities. The township provided the records from their time as fiscal agent in order for the library to complete its 2013 audit in 2014. In 2015, the township's finance director contacted the library director regarding an amount of $106,132.61 that they believe was transferred twice during the separation process in the 2012-2013. A summary of the documentation from the township is attached. After review of the complete paperwork currently provided by the township, the library's auditor said that there are two options. One, request further documentation from the township and pay to have the auditor continue to review the records in an effort to determine if the amount is owed, or two, agree to pay the amount as documented by the township through a contract that will finalize the separation.
That's a summary of where we stand.
Yes, and having been a big part of this process throughout all of this, I don't really think that we'll ever know whether or not we actually owe this money. I don't think we've asked for records and we get information, but nothing, in my opinion, is conclusive that we in fact owe this money. However, the whole issue is a much larger issue than that, and we know that we are owed the OPEB money. And in my opinion, if this is the way to get it, then we can agree to this and hopefully be done with this issue and then move forward. So, I don't know how any of the rest of you.
I agree 100%.
Yeah.
Let's just go ahead and say, okay,
Now,
go ahead and do this.
my question is, do we have a contract or do we need a contract which will state that we are...
I believe that we need a contract that shows that this will
Agreement.
totally resolve the issue of any outstanding debt by the library to the township, and by the township to the library. If we get the OPEB money,
Right.
and they get their negative cash issue addressed, then we're all going to be ahead of the game. But we do need that. We do need, according to our auditor, we do need something
In writing.
in writing.
And
And I don't feel that it would be cost effective for us to pay our auditor to go in and dig through information. You know, I think that would just be, I don't think that would resolve the issue either. I don't think that they would have
Well-
anything that would,
So can both things be signed and agreed to at the same time?
If you wanted to do that, we would need to amend the contract in some way. We could have our attorney do that. The other option would be to have a separate contract written.
and I think that we should just see what our attorney thinks is the best of those two
Two options.
I
options.
think we should defer to the attorney.
I don't know.
Okay.
Okay, I
So in
can't-
essence, we are agreeing to the
Yes.
settlement that the township board has voted on.
Mhm.
We would like something in writing, that this finalizes
Huh?
all transactions between the township and the library.
Yeah.
Do you have actual dollar figures in there?
Yeah, 106,
In the contract?
100, I don't know if it's currently in the contract.
There were-
Because
it
the
wouldn't
contract
be-
didn't address the negative cash issue.
No, the negative cash
because
was-
we were always told it was to be a separate item, and then at the end, they,
Our auditor suggested that this be dealt with at the same time, but the township, during the negotiations, said that they thought they were separate issues and they should be handled separately. But when the motion was made, they tied them together in a motion. Our auditor felt all along that they should be handled together and that they should both be in the contract. Now, our attorney may feel
Was
differently.
that way too?
Right, the way they made the motion,
Yeah.
just a negative.
yeah.
And it seems to me in the article in the Clarkson News that they were tied together and that
Yeah.
During the negotiations since 2012, this has been discussed since 2012, and during those negotiations, we were told this didn't come up until much later, but we had just been talking about the OPEB money, and then when this came up last year, we were told these were separate issues, and that it should remain separate issues, so we went along with that. But as I said, when the motion was made, they tied them together, so.
Can we get an opinion from our attorney before our next meeting on Monday?
Probably not. I think that, because I was kind of ready to make a motion that would say that it was pending either an amendment to the contract or a separate agreement. But we could go ahead, I think, and approve, because I think in principle, we've
We
agreed.
agree.
We just, you know, we need something, but I can't, I don't know an attorney in the world that can give you a legal opinion in 6 days.
That would, well, not only that, but it would also have to go to the townships.
Right, so, right, it's gonna have to go back, because now they'll have to sign a different agreement than the one that they've agreed to, but,
So essentially, I guess you could direct me to have the attorney propose language in this contract or in a separate contract that we would then take back to the
yeah.
township.
I
board
think
and
that's gonna be
say-
the only way, because we
The
can't,
contract is completely.
No.
The motion did, but the contract.
right, no, because it wasn't part of the contract discussion until it all
But then it
came.
came in
Yeah,
motion,
yeah.
so.
He threw it at us at the last minute.
Okay, so the board seems to be in agreement that we are in agreement with the township, but we would like something in writing
Yeah.
that actually finalizes this separation,
Yes.
so that the OPEB money comes to us and the deficit that they think is owed them goes to them, and that will be the end of
Right.
fiscal interaction.
Right. So,
Okay, would you like to make a
yes,
motion?
I'm ready to do that. Okay, I move that we approve the agreement regarding retiree health care funding between the Clarkson Independence District Library and the Charter Township of Independence, pending either an amendment to the contract or a separate agreement regarding the resolution of the negative cash issue.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, that's Mickey. So it's been
Moved.
moved, thank you.
Do we want a roll call?
We do want a roll call, and I think we want to give Debbie the chance to read it back.
Do you want me to read it back? Yeah, you want to read it back, and I'll, because I'm not,
Move to approve the agreement between the Clarkson Independence District Library and the Charter Township of Independence, pending either an amendment to the agreement or a separate agreement I'm sorry, what was the last part?
regarding the resolution of the negative cash.
Regarding the resolution.
Negative cash balance.
Resolution of the negative cash. Did you get all that, Debbie?
Yep,
Okay. You want to read it back?
sure.
Okay.
Settlement to approve the agreement, and I just put CIDL and CTI, pending either amendment or separate agreement regarding resolution of negative cash balance.
That works.
Is that what you said?
Couple of different words, but the message is exactly the same, so I'm good with it.
All right. So, are there any other comments? Because we would certainly like this done as rapidly as possible. All right. Those in favor?
Now we're going to roll.
Oh, we're doing a roll call, that's right.
Dan Gaffney,
Yes.
Michelle Ginn,
Yes.
Dave Green,
Yes.
Mary Himberg,
Yes.
Sally Lamb,
Yes.
Allison McFadden Keesling.
Yes.
Your turn.
Marilyn Pomeroy.
Yes.
7 yes, 0 no.
All right. And that concludes our agenda for this evening. So I will accept a movement to adjourn.
I move that we adjourn at 6:40.
I'll second. I'll second that.
Round it off.
We'll round it off. Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we adjourn at 6:40. Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The meeting is adjourned.